Villagers, thank you for your love and support. I appreciate to all. Africa, we say we want to be free. But we know, as Captain Brian Traore rightfully said, this freedom we are looking for will not come on a silver platter. We need a revolution. We have been wondering, why is it that when something has to do with Africa, that we need the African Union to come out and voice out, the African Union will always be silent. But when it is for it to be used against its kind, the same people that it is meant for, it is always quick in responding. According to this man, African Union was created in Ethiopia to circumvent the effort of Kwame Nkrumah unifying Africa. African Union was created to make sure whatsoever Yellow Papa is doing here will continue to happen. It has not been created to unify the African as we are seeing it. And the main reason for this is to suppress the African so that Yellow Papa will continue to move forward. And we had people in Africa who have agreed to do that.
The Organization of African Union created on May 25th, 1963 in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, was part of an effort to circumvent efforts by Kwame Nkrumah to build a single union of African states. And instead we come up with an Organization of African Union that codified the colonial borders that were created by Europe in 1884 and 85. We have to be able to break out of this, but it's going to take revolution in order to do this. African revolution in order to do this. African revolution that will destroy imperialism and the world economy that's responsible for the growing immiseration of the masses of people around the world. Uhuru.
The last thing I want to say is that I believe sincerely, and I'll say it here today, that multi-party democracy has done nothing for this country. Since 1992, the only beneficiaries of the system is the political class. The professional class, the working class, the underclass have all been totally marginalized. It's as if you live in this country, your sense is not respected. But that does not develop a country. We must be prepared to harvest the intellectual might of this country to progress this country. So, ladies and gentlemen, I believe and I share in Pierre Lumumba's statement that the change starts now.
My brothers and sisters, I think let us be a bit realistic about what is going on in the world today. Many years ago, in Berlin, Europeans sat down and subdivided our continent, at times separating a brother from our sister. After they finished doing that and colonizing us, they went ahead and taught us to fear, hate, and keep away from each other. So you are my neighbor, but I fear you, and I don't want to mingle with you. Let me give you an example and use a few African examples. Today, it is easier for a European to travel within Europe without requirement of a visa. They can trade, make money, visit each other, spend money, and the European Union area, and they're making a lot of money, they're becoming rich and rich every day. In Africa, our former colonies and what they taught us still prevails. Then they mingle among each other. Today in Africa, the reality is that for an African to visit a European nation, an ordinary African, to visit a European nation, is like, let me give you an example my teacher used to use. It's like trying to milk an elephant because of the visa process. However, for a European to visit an African nation, most of our nations, it is like a walk on the beach. It's like going to have a cup of tea. But then that is not the problem. The tragedy is that now for an African to visit a fellow African within the African Union, The visa restrictions in many of our nations, among us, between our brothers and sisters, is like trying to brush the teeth of a crocodile. They came, divided us, and they have taught us to keep each other from each other. Then they're mingling with each other and making money and growing, but they have taught us to hate each other. But for us to really enjoy the true economic benefits of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, we need to behave like the Europeans and allow for the free movement of people and trade. Our development agencies, such as the African Union Development Agency and others, cannot really succeed when there are all these restrictions among ourselves. To this end, in our contribution to this continental aspiration, Kenya is committed to progressively, and we are moving very fast by the end of this year, to abolish visas to citizens from African Union member states to make it easier to invest and do business in Kenya and across the continent. We are going to open the borders of Kenya. We do not fear our fellow Africans. Come, travel to Kenya, live, do business in Kenya, trade, make money in Kenya. And we hope we'll get reciprocity with the rest of you. Let us open our continent so that we can make money and live together. Let us remove the shackles of colonialism that are still embedded in our heads and be able to move forward.
Africa is the richest continent. Africa is better than all the continents. Good weather. Look at our soil. You throw maize outside right now, give it 3 days, it will germinate. You can't get that over there. Our weather is good, but they say we are poor. Is it not an irony? We are not poor. The whole Africa must wake up.
Anything that has to do with the African progress, we've seen that African Union is always quiet. When African Union needs to act, that is when African Union is slow in acting. And that with all the systems that these people have created, if Africa truly need to be free, then there should be a revolution. Like Captain Ibrahim Traore is saying, that we can never move forward and get the freedom, the liberty, the self-reliance that we are looking for in Africa if we continue to be practicing democracy. Democracy is a system. These people, when they create something, they make sure they use their media to sing the songs of these things into the African. These people control everything in Africa. Our media, our everything. And they make sure they feed us with things that will not make us to think straight. And that until we get a revolution, Africa will never change. And that is why we are seeing these days that even in parliament, African leaders, most of them or some of them are very bold enough and honest to come out and openly admit that if they don't do things like Traore, things will not change in Africa. We have to see a revolution to be able to change. Like one yellow papa said, China, Russia all had a revolution. And that is why they became sovereign nations. Africans, we can never continue to live here under the oppressors' rule and expect that the African will change. If we continue to practice and use the same things that they impose on us, we will never move forward. So this organization called African Union is actually not meant for the unity of Africa. No wonder whenever they're having their summits, these people are always in their presence. And we are always wondering why an organization such as this, that is meant for its people. Look at European Union. Anything that has to do with Europe, they are quick in answering. But when it comes to the African, it is the other way around. And we have to understand that until we get a revolution like we are seeing and we all support, we'll never see the freedom we are looking for in Africa. Because the leaders have failed us. That union is created as a hindrance to our unity. As Nkrumah was fighting for a borderless Africa, one Africa, these people created it to fight that progress. Now we have leaders, Asimi Abdurrahmani and our generals, and Captain Ibrahim Traore making it clear to us that before we can see the Africa we are yearning for, we should have a revolution. And it is the revolution they've started tagging dictators, juntas. It has started. And we need all of us to join. If this revolution will become a successful one, You and I have to contribute our part and stop listening to these mainstream medias, because these people are kept there to brainwash we the Africans into believing whatsoever that they want. But the narrative has changed. Thanks to social media, we can now listen to ourselves and hear ourselves and see the truth outside of these people. Africa needs a new revolution to be able to succeed and be free. Captain Ibrahim Traore said, if truly we want freedom, we should be ready to fight for it. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world and in Africa.